We here at the Harvard Law School, Austin Hall, September 25th of 2011, and this is the end of a two-day conference on the CON-Con, and one of our constitutionalists on the spot here, Dan McGonigle. Dan did not participate inside, but he was out handing out information about why we shouldn't have a CON-Con. By the way, a view, by the way, which was not widely well received here. At the closing remarks, there was a panel discussion, closing panel discussion, and everybody on the panel favored a CON-Con, from the Tea Party man, the Tea Party patriots, to Larry Lessig. So Dan, give us some of your comments on the conversations you had with attendees, pro, con, and different, and what are the results? What do you think the results of this conference will be? And by the way, Dan McGonigle is the head of the Committees of Safety and also a local John Birch Society member.
Well, as Hal said, I wasn't inside, and I had just a few brief conversations with some people who attended out here, and one particular gentleman was for a convention, and I tried to, and at the end of the conversation, it came down to, okay, if we don't have a convention, how are we going to fix what's wrong with general government? And I gave him the mantra of what I'm focused on is revitalizing the two ancient powers of the purse and the sword.
At the state level?
At the state level.
And interesting, I only attended the morning session here on Sunday, but no mention of Article 10 of the Constitution, the 10th Amendment, I should say, one way or the other, as a way that states can resume their powers instead of having an open convention that anything can happen. And by the way, it's not so much a runaway. This is the comments at this convention here, at this weekend event, that there are some people that have legitimate concerns of a runaway convention because the only precedent we have was the first one under the Articles of Confederation, et cetera, et cetera. So, but the bottom line is that there are some folks who are pretty bold about what they want. There was a book that was published in the 1980s, The Power to Lead, James McGregor Burns, who is still living at this time. He's in his 90s and a very influential man, and people look at him like he's some kind of legal god. And he said our founders did a great thing then, but it's well outdated, and we have to make right what they put asunder. So I don't think it'll be a runaway, like there'll be all kinds of different agendas being carried out, but I think there's some folks with some clear-cut objectives that will really dramatically change our Constitution. And the people on the left is exactly what they want. I don't think they want just a little amendment that would rein in corporations. I think they're going to have some serious issues here if we do have a convention. So go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, relating to what you just said about the lack of discussion regarding 10th Amendment.
That's right. And by the way, the 10th Amendment is basically the powers that the Constitution did not give to the federal government or denied to the states are retained by the states to the people.
Correct. And I was talking, just a few minutes ago, I was talking to a third-year law student who was volunteering here at the conference, and he made a statement that, it's, from what he's learned, I guess, in law school here, that since the 1840s, it's pretty well settled, according to him, that nullification by the states can't be done. Now, obviously, very famous Dr. Tom Woods, who's recently published.
Who's a graduate of Harvard Law School, I believe, or Harvard anyway.
He just recently published a book titled Nullification.
Yeah, actually, Tom isn't a graduate of the law school. He's a graduate, I think, of the School of Political Science.
Right.
He's a doctor's degree.
And the powers of the sword and the power of the purse, Dr. Vieira promotes the implementation through the states, through the state legislatures.
What's interesting is that Harvard Law School would actually co-sponsor this event and host the event. Harvard Law School, since probably the 1880s, has this evolutionary perspective of law. Roscoe Pound was their professor that was hired to promote that. The idea that not only do we evolve as human beings, ant monkeys into humans, which I would reject, but that everything evolves, including the law, including the Constitution. So what was meant in 1787 and 1788 and 89 really doesn't mean what it means today, and that everything is changing. On the other hand, Tea Party patriot types, we would hope, would be advocates of limited government, fixed law, a republic. And by the way, the word democracy and republic were used sort of interchangeably here, they mean the same. That was quite interesting. Well, Dan, what do you recommend for the millions of people who watch this video who are just waiting to hear our wise comments and from this convention?
I believe that this conference is off point regarding proposing a convention, which, from what they're saying, the intent is to amend the Constitution. I think first we need to restore dormant clauses in the Constitution that are not currently being enforced.
As an example?
Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15. Congress shall have the power to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws. That's the first part of Clause 15.
And currently there is no militia.
No, and in the Second Amendment, the first clause of the Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, and then it goes on to the right to bear arms section. So those are dormant clauses in the Constitution, and that's the enforcement mechanism that I claim, and Dr. Vieira claims, are not in place at this time.
Well, my suggestion is, first off, these folks in this room, in this conference, most of them mean business. They want to have a convention. They think that you can galvanize people on the left and the right and form a grassroots movement. And all the things that I heard they said are things that we've been doing, trying to get, there are those on the left who disagree with a convention. And my issue is if you want one, and if you're on the right and you're going to work with people on the left to push a convention, ask yourself, what do these people on the left want? And is it going to give more government, more power to Congress, or less power? So before you say, oh, let's have consensus, and I heard that word being used by one of the Tea Party activists. Consensus is something that the Delphi technique. In other words, we may disagree, but let's come together and walk out of here all in agreement, ready to have a plan of action. And I would hope that most Tea Party people do not agree. Look into the subject and go to jps.org under our issues section of the website. There's a lot of information in there that is not being addressed here. And there might have been a few people dissenting. And I think Lawrence Tribe, a professor here at Harvard Law School, had been on record as against one. He said they cannot be controlled. And the idea is you can pass a resolution basically controlling it. Well, if the convention is a sovereign body, they can do whatever they wish. And even if the resolution says they'll be recalled or given a fine or put in jail, I don't think they're going to be worried about that if they have their agenda is to radically change the Constitution. So with that, folks, we have a work cut out for us. We better work with, we have to do the same thing they do. One of the presenters here was a former state rep, Steve D'Amico from Massachusetts. And he said 10 phone calls, people take notice, personal visits, having information. And he said a lot of these elected officials, whatever the speaker says is what they do. So folks, this is a serious issue. And Harvard Law School doesn't have these conventions unless they mean business. And we need to mean business too. So with that, I want to thank you, Dan. Thank you for your efforts here. And hopefully you'll contact us, jbs.org, committeesofsafety.org. And also, there's a Facebook page. It's called Stop the Constitutional Convention. Get on that and get some updated information. Thank you.